Hey, welcome back to a boat called Wanda. So today I want to go ahead and remove that teak decking around the tow rail so that we can expose that split there. That was something that I'd hoped to do last weekend, but I ran out of time, so that's the main job for today. And what I'd like to do is actually use a planer to remove the teak rather than lift it up with a crowbar or chisel, because what we've seen before is just doing a small patch is it actually lifts up a lot of the gel coat, and that leaves a really big mess behind, which just makes that preparation even longer later on. So I think the best thing to do is to remove it with a planer and then sand that back, sand whatever residue is there back, and leave it at that. So before I get started, I've got some new toys here, so let's have a look at those and then I'll get going. So we have one heat gun. Now this would have come in handy last weekend when I was trying to lift up that cap rail, because I think this will probably help break up that sealant that's holding it down. So this will definitely be a handy tool when it comes to remove the rest of the cap rail. And then I've got a wet and dry vac here. So when I used the electric planer last weekend to remove the cap rail, there was a massive amount of wood left over, like wood shavings, and it left a real mess behind. So this should be able to hook up to the planer and just suck in all the shavings as it works. And apparently with this one there's an automatic switch, so it only activates when you switch the power tool on. So that'll be good to see how that works. Okay, let's get stuck into it then. Here's the section of the teak that I want to remove. So we did this last time as a sample, just so that we could expose this this crack down here, which is where all this fiberglass has gone soft because of the impact. It's just smashed up all the resin. So we need to feather this back and relay this. And as you can see, it's left a lot of, it's pulled up a lot of the gel coat. So, and that's a result of just lifting it up with a chisel or crowbar. So with this section here, I actually want to try planing that off. So I'd basically like to remove the first foot, I guess, all the way back there, so that we can get to this tow rail. So I guess I need to start by removing this jib sheet track and any other deck hardware along here to get to the teak, and then I'll to remove all the screws, pull up the silicone between the planks, and then start with the planer. Okay. So what I found is a good way to remove these bungs. I started out just by tapping them out with a screwdriver, and what I found is I didn't have a great success rate with the amount of screws that came out easily. Some of them had to be drilled out instead. And that's because even though you take the bung out, there's still a bit of residue left behind, or if the screws slightly at an angle, it won't unscrew nicely because it's butting up against wood. So what I found a good way to do this is I've got this plug cutter drill bit. This is actually a 12mm plug cutter, and these plugs are about 8 or 6 mil, I think, so this will actually go around it. You can actually drill around the plug, as you can see here, and then the whole thing just lifts out really easily. And then you can get sort of full access to the screw, and if it's stuck in there you can get pliers around the edge to remove it. There we go. So this works for me really well. I think if you're not going to reuse this teak, if it's just a destructive method and you don't care about it, then if you drill around the screw rather than just trying to remove the plug with a screwdriver, this is a lot more efficient, it seems. So I'm just going to do the entire deck like this, then come back and remove them all, and then I can start planing it back. Yeah, what I've found is some of these bungs have been sort of glued in place with some sort of maybe glue or adhesive varnish or something, and that adhesive goes into the head of the screw, so don't know if you can see that. Basically there's no the adhesive has filled up that slot in the screw, so you can't get a screwdriver in there. So what I have to do is basically try and dig out that cross for the Phillips head bit. So I just use a straight edge screwdriver, and then the opposite way, try and kind of cut through that. Second step, then with the Phillips head bit, try and find that slot I've just cut. Sometimes it takes a while. This one's really bad. Try again. That's it. Then I can get a grip, and then I'll just resort to the power driver. I mean, so far so good. I've done about 40, and I've not had to drill out any. So using this technique where you kind of cut around the head of the screw with those plug bits, then pop that out, it's been working a lot better, even though sometimes the screw heads have a little bit of glue on them that you need to cut through, as I did just then. At least they're all coming out and I'm not having to drill out any yet, touch wood. There we are. Okay, time for a break soon, I think. time for some lunch. Okay, so that's this section done. There's about 50 bungs there that I've removed, and out of those 50 screws I've only got 2 issues, which isn't bad going. I've got one here that's rounded out, the head's, the Phillips slot is rounded out, so I can get some pliers around that, given that I've drilled around it with that bit before, so that's fine, I can get that out. Second issue here is the head of the screw is actually missing, so the head must have corroded and come off in the bung when the bung was removed. So that's alright, just 2 issues there. So I'll take those out and then I will pull up that caulking and then I can start to plane it off.